Neck is probably one of the most important muscles when it comes to attraction, right? So purely just for attractive purposes, neck is probably just one of the most important ones. So if you are training for aesthetics, just having like a thick, developed neck, that's probably one of the most attractive muscles that you can have. And I was really thinking, like, what are the reasons why someone wouldn't train neck, right? So, and I came up with like two of the biggest reasons why someone wouldn't really train neck. One of the reasons is that, well, you just didn't know about neck training, right? So this is probably one of the first times you've heard that you actually need to train your neck and have a thick, muscular, defined neck. And for me, this would have been really valuable information when I started, right? So I've been training for like 17 months now total. But when I started, I had a really skinny neck. I had a really skinny neck. Like, it was noticeable how skinny my neck is. If you think about it, you can never really look at someone and think, you know what, that guy has a skinny neck, right? If they're skinny, they're just skinny. You'd think, yeah, they have a skinny physique, but you wouldn't particularly think they have a skinny neck. But for me, I really feel like it was the case. I had a skinny neck. I was, of course, super skinny, underweight, medically underweight, according to like the BMI scale, whatever the fuck, right? So like, sure, I was super skinny, but my neck was particularly super, super small. It looked like it could snap at any time, right? So this would have been super valuable for me to know, like when I really started, that if I just trained my neck and just made it thicker, it would have helped, especially for attractive purposes, right? So I've been training my neck for a total of like 8 months now. I'll put up the picture of my before and after. My neck is a lot more developed. It's like a lot better, right? So in terms of aesthetics, my neck is a lot better, and it's boosted my attractiveness by a lot, right? So super, super important that you have a well-developed and trained neck, right? But most people just don't know about this. Most people don't know. And some people who've heard about neck training, like the information about neck training online, it's probably just like terrible information, right? I'll give you an example. Influencers online, what they say is that, well, if you have a neck that's just like directly, like, if you look where your jawline ends, right here, if your neck just goes directly down all the way, like if it's thick enough that it's in line with your jawline, then your neck is already thick enough. You don't need to train, right? And that's just terrible information. Like, the thicker your neck gets, the more aesthetic you're just going to look, first of all, right? So there's like terrible information. And second of all, most people don't even talk about neck training, yet alone if you find information about neck training. Most people don't talk about it. Influencers might talk about it, but they don't train neck themselves, right? So this was one of the biggest reasons. It's probably just that you don't have the information. Like, you just didn't know that you need to train your neck. Again, this is probably the first time you've ever heard someone tell you, like, well, you need to train your neck. You need to have a thick neck, thick, muscular, defined neck. I go into the gym, every single person I meet, like when I'm doing neck training, they always ask me, what is this? They mistake it for like RDLs or some shit. When I'm training my neck on the Smith, they always ask me, what are you doing? Like, what does this help for? And I always tell them, you actually, it's neck training, it's good for aesthetics. And they're always like, they're always so impressed that like you actually train your neck, particularly like you individually train your neck. And I'm like, yeah, it's an important muscle. It's like you have to do it, right? So like, that's one of the biggest reasons that I could think of why someone wouldn't train neck at all. The second biggest reason is that there's just too much friction involved in training neck, right? I'll give you an example. If you find information about neck training, I can almost guarantee that the exercise you're going to find to do neck training is this one particular exercise where you have to put like a towel on your forehead, and then you put like a weight, like a plate on your forehead, and then you have to go back and forth like this. That's like the exercise, right? So it's like, it's good to train like, so you see like these side muscles here, it's good to train those side muscles of your neck. But the only biggest problem is that if you're going to go to the gym and do that, just because no one knows about this neck training and everything, I'm telling you, it's going to look weird. It's going to be super, super, super awkward, because like, how you'd set up this exact exercise I'm talking about is, you'd put a bench, you'd lie on the bench, right? And then your head would be like at the edge of the bench. So like, where the bench ends, your head is hanging over the edge of the bench. You have to bring a towel with you to the gym, first of all, because like a plate you can't just put on your forehead. It's like kind of painful, whatever. you have to bring like a towel or something, or you can get like some sort of cushioning, right? You put on your forehead, you take the plate, and then you start doing this back and forth in the gym, right? And it's like it just looks awkward. Like you can feel people looking at you, and people will look at you because like no one else has ever been doing that exercise. It looks awkward. If you can do it at your house, okay, yeah, fair and fine. There's no problem with that. If you can get like a neck harness or whatever they use, fair and fine. There's no problem with that. And the fix that I have for this, right? So instead of doing this, I actually have a fix that's like I think super what's the word I was looking for? Good. It's a good fix. I forgot the word I was looking for. Instead of doing that particular exercise, what you want to do is go on a Smith, right? So if you have a Smith in your gym, or probably just like a squat rack, you pick up the weight, you pick up the barbell, right? So you put like weights at the end of the barbell, whatever. But you pick up the barbell with a narrow grip. So you hold the barbell like this, like with a narrow grip, right? Right, like how you'd imagine you'd do shrugs on a Smith or on a barbell rack, right? How you'd do shrugs, you'd just shrug up and down like that. This is how you train shrugs if you're training like your upper traps, right? But instead of doing shrugs, right, you'd pick up the barbell straight up and then just do the exact same movement you'd do for shrugs, but with the narrow grip, right? And then you'd go up and down like this. And that would actually train like, especially this part right here of your neck. So I don't know if you can see. This chain is in the way. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can see it from here, but this part of your neck will be particularly targeted when you do it this way that I'm talking about, right? And realistically, the muscles in your neck, the ones that actually grow when you train neck, are the two muscles, which is just like these side muscles here. Those are the ones that really just grow when you train your neck. And when you look at it from the front, if these muscles get thicker, right? So if these muscles get thicker, your neck gets wider and it starts to fill up like space, right? So it just looks thicker when you look at it, right? So that's the most important thing that you really need to do. That's the quick fix that I can give you for that exercise, right? And then the other few things that I can think of is like neck is one of those muscles where it's like an afterthought. So the same way like people don't really train like forearms, right? So you wouldn't really train like your forearms, yeah? But like forearms are like an afterthought. They're kind of important, but you wouldn't really have them like as part of your workout, and you do this consistently, right? So instead of having neck as an afterthought, now that you know that it's super important, you need to put it like, if you can, before you work out, after your workout, wherever, but make sure you do train neck consistently twice a week. Do enough sets. I do like 4 sets of neck per week to failure. And I also do like 4 sets of traps, right? And sometimes, like, not sometimes, but when you work out your traps, it also targets a bit of your neck. So like it's like 8 sets in total, right? So like make sure that neck is part of your routine, and you do the sets like every single week, right? So it's like super important. And another thing is that like when you do neck, you kind of have to like stretch. This is like one of the only muscle that I actually stretch before the exercise. Of course, I warm up before like sets, so just use the lighter weight for the thing that I'm doing. But for neck, it's like the neck muscles are like super like fragile or whatever it is, so you actually need to stretch. So you have to go in there before you sit. You have to do the whole thing like that. You do the whole thing like that. You stretch your neck. You make sure like, because if you don't stretch your neck, like sometimes you do the workout, you finish the workout, when you're sleeping, it's like there's just tightness and it's like kind of sore. So it's like just like any muscle, how it gets sore with the neck, it's like it's going to disrupt your sleep if you don't actually like stretch it before the workout. And it's like, okay, that's kind of annoying that I have to stretch. It's time consuming, whatever, right? It's like just do it, because it's the only time you're ever really going to stretch for anything, right? So there's like so many like small random things that add friction to actually training neck. And this is the second big point that I was thinking about. There's so much like random friction things that add to training neck that when you really think about it in your mind, neck is just like one of those things where it's not worth all this extra effort, right? Before you watched this video, before I told you how important it was, you just thought neck is not worth all this extra effort. You'd probably just think, you know what, to the gym, I just want to get a bigger chest. Oh, ho, 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 ho. You just think, I probably just want to get a bigger chest. I want to get bigger biceps, shoulders, lats, whatever, right? I wanna have like nice abs, right? You'd probably just think that, but again, neck is the only muscle that's visible in whatever you wear. You go out, people can only see your neck. Whatever you wear, you put on like a hoodie, a jumper, whatever, a sweater, people can only see your neck, right? So it's like this is the muscle that's going to make the biggest difference from your attraction, just because it's visible 24/7, first of all. And now that I've given you this information, everyone who hasn't watched this video don't have this information. So it's like you have a competitive advantage over like everyone else, because you're probably going to be one of the only people that are going to train neck if you actually implement this advice. So now you're just going to be like steps ahead of the competition anyways, now that you're going to be training neck, and it's one of the 7 aesthetic muscles which are important. So it's like you're going to get a competitive advantage. It's going to just easily set your physique apart. It's going to be like so beneficial, right? So of course it's worth the extra effort. It's worth all these random things like stretching before like the workout and whatever. It's worth doing all the sets till failure per week. It's worth all the extra effort because the payout is just like really, really good, right? So that's the advice that I had for you today in terms of neck training. Like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel.